Hey everyone, it's Mr. Barden here. I'm going to be talking about in this video just how to turn in projects. So right here I've got a session for a larger project I did, Insomnia song. I mentioned there's a bunch of stuff. We're going to learn what all of it does, and I don't know if you'll make one exactly this nuts, but you'll be doing a lot more stuff as we go along. Um, so again, I've got all this right here. It's pretty straightforward. We can play through it. I don't know how long this will come through or in the recording. It's a bit louder. All right, well, we get the idea. That's just the version with none of the vocals happening. I have them muted, as you can see right here. Um, that's fine because I prefer the backing track, anyways. But let's say we're going to turn this in for an assignment. I just want to talk about a few things about how and why we'll be turning certain things in certain ways in the Google Classroom. So let's look at this right now. I'm going to, can I do that? No. I'm going to file, where would you be at? Song. So it tends to hide, um, but I wanted to see, can I, no, that's not going to work. Okay, well, I'm just going to go through my files and find it real quick and say, so generally you should be saving this onto your flash drive. Again, this is my personal computer, so it's a little bit different. Okay, here's my currently saved stuff. It's different versions, but again, everything has a folder, and inside of that folder are some different things. This is actually an older version. I have this broken up between a few different hard drives. I move old stuff to other drives and so on. But this is kind of important. So you'll see that there's right here the Studio One song file. And again, this is an older version of this same song. You do not want to turn in just this file because this is just the instructions that tell Studio One where to go find the synthesizers and the presets and the settings and the audio files and what to do with them. It's all just instructions. If you were to open this up in a code editor, it's just a bunch of gobbledygook. Uh, I can't do anything with just that. So if you're ever turning in just the song file, you have messed up. That is wrong. I will leave snarky comments on your Google Classroom and probably direct you towards this exact video. What I do need are a few things. Sometimes, usually for bigger projects, I will ask you to turn stuff in, but I'll ask you, you'll get the whole file and you'll just compress it. So, like if I took this and just send to compressed folder, then that will compress it and turn it in, and that will include everything. So for this one, this has, the song file. It's got all of the sound files I used to make it, some backups and history, and everything I need to actually build it. So if I ever ask for the Studio One session, you want to take the folder for the entire song and then compress it. It's gonna take a second. Um, and then once it is compressed, attach that zip file to the Google Drive Classroom or the Google Classroom assignment. I can't talk anymore. Um, and so you'll see that happen right about now. All right, here's for that project I did for the same show. Um, but anyways, let's talk about just how to turn stuff in. Most of the time, I'm just going to ask for the audio, especially for the simpler projects. As things get more and more complex, I'll ask for a mix of the audio and the sessions for different reasons that I'll talk about then. But let's say this was your assignment, this was your project, you were done, and you were ready to turn it in. I'm going to hide the mixer because that's a lot of information. We're just going to look at the tracks. I've put most of them into folders. there. So this is a mix of MIDI and audio, like some of our stuff will be having. Again, we can export it. You can either go to song, and there's different things we can export, but for pretty much anything we'll do is export mixdown. The rest of that will periodically come up. It's also Control E for export. And this is where you would tell it where to save it. So right now this is actually getting saved to my Google Drive. But you can give it a name. I like to give it for most of my projects. I give them very technical names. So this is the Insomnia backing track, the final mix, and it is 3 minutes and 43 seconds long. That's my personal naming nomenclature for a lot of stuff, so that way I know exactly what I'm looking at and how long it is without having to go through all the files. But this is where we're going to do a few things. One, you can set the name to whatever you want. I'll probably tell you if I don't, just make sure it's something you know what it is. This is where you tell it where to save. So again, I recommend on your flash drives because this will take up a bit of space. We're going to choose the format, and most of the time we'll do WAV or MP3. These other ones have different uses. So M4A is, it's another audio one. Ogg Vorbis is used a lot for internet things because it's super tiny. FLAC is like a lossless audio thing, and AIFF is like the Apple version. It's all slightly different ways to encode this audio information, but we're going to use WAV and MP3 in this class because they're the most common. You can set specific things. I'm not going to go into all of it. I like to make mine a bit more on the high def side. But that does make the audio a bit more bigger in terms of files. As for what to export, there's different things. We haven't actually talked about markers yet at the time I'm recording this video, but they're going to be very helpful. That's what these little things are up here. And you can say only export between certain ones. You could say between just start and end, which is useful. You can set a start and an end one, or between the loop. That's what we've been using so far, and that's going to export everything that is inside of this loop bar. I have it turned on just to make it nice and easy to see, but you don't have to. I could just turn it. It's not going to do it right now because that window's not active, but you can turn that off and on, and you can export. You can actually export multiple versions at the same time. It just becomes a little, more time consuming. So it's going to do its thing. I've already exported this in the past, so it's that's why it has that 2 added there. This may take a bit. It depends on your project. So the more computation heavy this is, the longer this will take. My computer's pretty fast, but it's probably gonna take another 60 seconds to finish this track. So, not super fast. It's about twice as fast as Sam, but for a lot of things, it'll just kind of go for a lot of quicker ones. But this one is involving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different synthesizers and a drum, and 4 or 5 channels of drums, plus it's all muted, but the audio clips for all that. So it's just a lot of stuff, not to mention the audio effects that all have to be processed. Any other automation that also, it's just a lot of stuff. So that's why this can take a while for the bigger projects. As we start getting into those bigger projects, I'll remind you to save more periodically. I kind of do that a little bit now when I'm recording this anyways, as well as I'll tell you, hey, you have X minutes left, you should probably start exporting for the assignment. But it'll go and go and go, and once it's done, it will do this. So what this will be it'll pop open a new little file explorer window and show you the files that it just exported. We're getting there. 2, 1, stop. Bloop. There we are, and there it is. So here we can see a bunch of stuff. So this is where I would put all of my kind of works in progress. And you'll get like super basic ones, full things with vocals, backing, different versions that I worked on in this main session, but you'll be able to see them all just right here. And these are the files you'll want to turn in. Now, WAV files are much bigger than MP3 files. So this one's 8 megabytes. This one's 81. So again, that's why this one's a lot more compressed. That's why we use that for the simpler assignments and use the wave for the big assignments, because there's a lot more data in the wave files to make a much more higher resolution recording. But then these, again, once this window pops up, this is what you will turn in to Google Classroom. So you can open up Google Classroom, you can just, attach to assignment, you drag and drop it, or go through your file browser and find where this opened up and turn that in. That's most of how you'll turn stuff in. Again, most of the time I'm going to want specifically the audio file, so that'll be a wave or an MP3. I'm usually not going to be too picky, except for really wanting the waves on that bigger, bigger projects right there. So that's the step process for that. I will say that I'll kind of leave off with two little tips for if you get a message. I didn't get it because I've done a bunch of stuff, but sometimes you'll get a message that says clipping has occurred. I'm not going to go into detail about what clipping is in this video because that's just really going off topic. But if that does pop up, Studio One will ask you if you want to delete the exported file. Under most cases, you would say yes. I haven't taught the class at the time I'm recording this how to avoid it, and that's kind of what I'm going to do right now with two main things. The first one is on your mix. You can go and manually find what is causing that to clip and bring it down. That can be time consuming. You can just take the whole thing, and I'll hide my face. You can take the whole thing and just lower the volume a bit. It helps if I'm actually in Studio One and just lower the volume just a little bit if you need to. That has its perks. What I usually do is just a quick and dirty thing, that it's better to manually have all your levels so nothing clips. Sometimes you need that though. I usually stick just a little limiter at the very end of all my effect chains. You can just drop the limiter effect, and I just set it to 0 decibels. This is not the best thing to do, but it's quick and effective if you just need something just right there. So again, what this will do is this will stop sounds from getting any louder from whatever level you set it to, and you can set how fast and how how quick and hard it is. It's not the best because it will reduce any dynamic ranges. So, if you have things really quiet and really loud, you may not get that full range. So again, it's not the best, in my opinion, to rely on it all the time. But for something quick, like I was having to stick all this, make all of these tracks very quickly, it's an effective, just boom, we'll stick that there. We don't have to worry about it. But as my class gets more practice, we will learn ways to avoid that. There may be a little weird jump cut there. I accidentally hit the stop recording button instead of the bring back my face button. So the last 30 seconds of this video are going to be a separate recording technically. All right, everyone. So that's it. That's, again, just how to export and turn in the files. I didn't pull up the actual Google Classroom just because I don't happen to have any Google Classrooms that I'm a student of, and I don't want to show the ones with my actual students in it, in their work. But it's really straightforward. You just, go to the assignment, add a file, and just drag and drop it right there. It's really user friendly. But if you have concerns about that part of the process, go ahead and put that in the comments down below. If this was helpful for you in any way, definitely consider giving it a like or subscribing to the YouTube channel, all the YouTube stuff. And if this was helpful in a specific way, or you made something in particular, definitely put that down in the comments. I love seeing what people do. As a final thing, I will say, if you have any specific things that you want me to talk about on this channel, if I'm qualified to talk about them, whether it be for my coding courses or my audio production or my music creation, definitely put those in the comments, and I see all of them even if I don't immediately respond. And I like to do that. That'll give me some, viewer suggested topics for the future. So that's going to be where I end it for today. And now I'm going to actually end the recording on purpose. So I'll see you all the next time that I see you. Bye.